I still remember the day my life shattered, not with thunder or screams, but with silence. The kind of silence that follows when trust dies. My name is Aisha, and if you had met me 5 years ago, you would have seen a woman full of dreams. A loving husband, a new house, a mother who lived just a few streets away, and a younger brother-in-law who called me Bobby with respect. I thought I had everything. But life has a cruel way of showing you the truth, slowly, painfully, piece by piece. It began on an ordinary evening. I had cooked Arif's favorite dinner, chicken korma, the way his mother taught me. He was late again. I waited, as always, convincing myself that traffic must be bad or maybe his meeting ran long. When he finally walked in, his face was glowing. But it wasn't because of me. It was because of the text message that lit up his phone, a message I wasn't supposed to see. "I can't wait to see you again tonight." My world stopped. I looked at him, the man I had built my life around, the one I defended to everyone. My hands trembled, but I stayed silent. That night while he showered, I opened his phone again. My heart pounded like it was trying to escape my chest. There they were, messages, photos, secrets, and then one message that froze my blood from his brother Aslam. "Don't worry, bye, I've got your back. She'll never find out." I read that line 10 times. His brother knew. His brother, the one who came to our home every weekend, who joked with me like a younger sibling. That night, I sat on the floor of my bedroom, clutching my chest. My entire world felt like a lie. The next morning, I went to my mother's house. I thought, she'd hold me, she'd help me. But instead, she said words I'll never forget. "Aisha, men make mistakes. Don't ruin your home over a few messages." I stared at her in disbelief. "Ami, he's been lying to me for months." She looked away. "Do you think your father was any different?" I learned to stay silent, and that's why our home survived. Her words hit me harder than the betrayal itself. My mother, the woman who once told me to be strong, was now asking me to be quiet. I left her house with tears streaming down my face. I drove aimlessly until I reached my father's old home. My parents were divorced years ago, and I hadn't spoken to him in months. When he opened the door, he looked at me, his eyes soft but knowing. "I knew this day would come," he said quietly. "You'll come back broken one day." I cried like a child that day. He didn't ask for details. He just let me cry. For the next few days, I lived like a ghost. Arif pretended nothing had happened. My mother called and told me to think about your reputation. Aslam texted, asking if I was okay. The hypocrisy made me sick. Then one evening, I overheard Arif on the phone. "She suspects nothing. Don't worry. Once the business deal is done, I'll handle her." I realized then it wasn't just betrayal of love. It was betrayal of trust, money, and my entire existence. I started watching quietly, listening, collecting proof. I became invisible in my own house, but I noticed everything. The late-night calls, the hidden bank statements, the sudden trips. Then one night I followed him. He drove to a hotel outside the city. I parked far away and waited. 2 hours later, I saw him walk out with my own cousin Sarah. My stomach turned. She was my mother's sister's daughter, someone who grew up playing in my house. I couldn't breathe, wanted to scream, to hit him, to tear everything apart, but I didn't. Instead, I went home. I packed a small bag. I left quietly. For weeks, I stayed with my father. He wanted to confront Arif, but I stopped him. "No," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "Let him think I'm broken. I'll show him what a broken woman can become." My father smiled sadly. "You have my blood. Do what you must, but do it with grace. Those words became my strength. I started working again, freelancing from home, slowly rebuilding my savings. I reconnected with old friends, began therapy, and started finding myself again. The pain was still there, sharp and heavy, but now it was fuel. 3 months later, I received divorce papers, not from RF directly, but through my mother. She came to my father's house, her face tight. He said, "It's better for both of you. Sign them, Aisha." I looked at her and said quietly, "You chose silence, Amy. I choose peace." She had no answer. After the divorce, I moved to another city, started a small business with the money I had saved. Life was still hard, but peaceful. Until one day, karma came knocking. I received a call from Aslam. His voice was panicked. "Bobby, please, I need your help. Bai has been arrested. The company collapsed and the police are after him. Please talk to him once. He needs you." I almost laughed. The same man who betrayed me, who used me, now needed me. I said calmly, "Tell him I'll pray for him." That's all. That night I sat alone on my balcony, watching the stars. My father joined me, a cup of tea in his hand. "You look peaceful," he said. "I am," I replied, "because I finally stopped chasing people who enjoyed watching me fall." He smiled. "And what about forgiveness?" I took a deep breath. "Forgiveness is freedom, Abba, but I'll forgive them when I see them face to face again. Not before. Didn't know then that the universe would soon give me that chance. It's strange how life works. Sometimes you spend years begging for answers, and when they finally come, you no longer need them." 2 years had passed since I signed those papers. My business was growing, slowly but surely. I ran a small boutique that focused on handcrafted items made by women who, like me, had been broken but chose to rebuild. Every stitch, every thread carried a story of pain turned into power. I was proud of what I had created. I had peace, purpose, and strength I never knew I had. Then, one morning, I got a call that pulled me back into the past I thought I had buried. "Madam Aisha, we're organizing a business conference in Lahore next week. We'd be honored if you joined as a guest speaker." The woman on the phone said. I agreed without hesitation. I didn't know fate was already setting the stage for something I didn't expect. When I reached the hotel, I felt a strange heaviness in my chest. The same place where Arif once betrayed me now stood as the venue for my success. I smiled at the irony. My session went beautifully. I spoke about resilience, betrayal, and rebuilding one's life after being torn apart. People applauded. Some even cried. And then, as I was leaving the stage, I saw him, Arif, standing near the back, looking smaller than I remembered. His face was pale, his eyes sunken, his once expensive suit now wrinkled and tired. For a second, I froze. My heart raced, but I didn't look away. Our eyes met, and he immediately looked down. Aslam was with him, holding a file. They looked defeated. My assistant leaned toward me and whispered, "Ma'am, those 2 men are requesting a meeting. Should I send them away?" I took a deep breath. "No," I said. "Let them wait." I made them sit for 2 hours. When I finally entered the meeting room, they both stood up. Arif tried to smile. "Aisha, you look..." I raised my hand. "Don't," I said softly. "Don't you dare say I look well after what you did." His voice trembled. "I know I wronged you. I lost everything. The business collapsed. Sarah left me. Even Amy doesn't talk to me now. I'm sorry." I watched him. The man who once made me doubt my worth, now broken. "You remember?" I said slowly. The night you came home late and I served you dinner, waiting for an apology that never came. He nodded, eyes full of shame. That was the night my heart died, Arif. But it's also the night I started living for myself. He looked down, tears in his eyes. I deserve this, he whispered. Aslam stepped forward. Bobby, please. Bai has changed. He's learned his lesson. I turned to him sharply. You called me Bobby then, while helping him betray me. Tell me, Aslam, what lesson did you learn? He couldn't answer, his head lowered in shame. I stood up, walked to the door, then turned around. You both destroyed something pure. I don't want revenge. I want you to live knowing that the woman you tried to break is now standing taller than you ever dreamed. They both remained silent. As I left the room, a strange calm settled over me. I thought that was the end of it. But life had one more test waiting. A few weeks later, I received a call from my mother. Her voice was shaky. Aish, your father had a heart attack. My world tilted. I rushed to the hospital. He survived, thank God. But sitting beside his bed, I saw my mother standing awkwardly near the door. Time had changed her too. Her hair was grayer, her eyes softer. She approached me slowly. You were right, she said quietly. Silence doesn't save homes. It destroys souls. I watched you stand alone and I realized I was wrong. Tears filled my eyes. For years, I had longed to hear those words. Amy, I whispered, you don't need to say more. I forgave you long ago. She took my hand and cried silently. That was the moment I felt truly free. I had forgiven her, Arif, even Aslam, not for them, but for me. Weeks passed, and one morning as I was closing my shop, a woman entered. She wore a simple scarf and carried a baby in her arms. Are you Aya? She asked. I nodded. I'm Sarah, she said hesitantly. My chest tightened. The cousin who betrayed me was standing before me, tears in her eyes. I don't expect forgiveness, she said softly. I just wanted to say, I was wrong. He left me when I was pregnant. I lost everything. I have nowhere to go. I looked at her, holding the baby close, and in her trembling hands, I saw my old self, the broken woman I once was. I sighed and said, there's a small apartment above this shop. It's empty. You can stay there for now. But I won't pity you, Sarah. Learn to stand. No one will do it for you. She nodded, crying. That night, I sat by my window, the city lights glowing below. My life had come full circle. The people who betrayed me had all fallen not because I sought revenge, but because karma did what it always does. My father's words echoed in my mind. Do what you must, but do it with grace. And I had. Months later, I was invited to speak at a women's conference in Islamabad. The topic was strength after betrayal. As I stood before the crowd, I began. I once believed that love meant sacrifice, but I learned that true love begins when you stop sacrificing yourself for those who never valued you. I lost everything once, my husband, my family, my trust, but in losing them, I found myself. The room erupted in applause. After the event, a journalist approached me. Miss Aisha, what's your secret to surviving betrayal? I smiled. Turn your pain into purpose. Don't seek revenge, seek peace. Because when you heal, that's the loudest revenge. That night, as I returned home, I stopped by my father's grave. The cool wind brushed against my face. You were right, Abba, I whispered. I came back broken once, but now I stand whole. I placed flowers on his grave and looked up at the stars. Somewhere deep inside, I knew he was proud. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I heard your speech. I'm proud of you. I froze for a second. It was Arif. I didn't reply. Instead, I smiled. Because some stories don't need closure, they just need peace. I deleted the message and walked away, leaving the ghosts of my past where they belonged. The wind was soft that night, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole. And that, I realized, was the truest form of revenge peace after pain, silence after chaos, strength after destruction. As I walked away from my father's grave that night, I felt a strange calm settle inside me. The woman who once begged for love and answers no longer existed. I had become someone else, someone who didn't need validation, apology, or revenge to feel alive. My scars had become symbols of my survival. I reached home, made myself a cup of tea, and sat on the balcony. The moon was bright, silver light spilling over the city. It reminded me of nights I once spent crying, wondering why God was punishing me. Now I understood he wasn't punishing me. He was preparing me. Every betrayal, every sleepless night, every broken promise had shaped me into a woman who could stand alone. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Arif. I wish things were different. I wish I hadn't hurt you. I read it once, then deleted it. I didn't even feel anger, only gratitude that I no longer needed his words to heal. For years, I thought closure meant hearing, "I'm sorry," but real closure, I realized, comes when the past no longer controls your peace. I went back to my boutique the next morning. The women were already there, laughing, working, building their futures. One of them, Nasreen, came to me with tears in her eyes. "Baji, because of this job, my daughter can go to school now." I smiled and hugged her. In that moment, I knew why everything had happened. I had lost a husband, but I had gained a purpose. Life had taken from me, only to return something far greater. A week later, Sarah came downstairs holding her baby. "He took his first step today," she said, eyes full of joy and disbelief. I smiled. That's what life does. It teaches us to walk again, even after we fall. She nodded, tears glistening. We were no longer enemies. We were two broken souls learning to heal. That night, I wrote something in my diary, a message to every woman who ever felt small, unwanted, betrayed. Your worth is not measured by who stays, but by how you rise when they leave. Months passed, and my story spread. People started calling me for interviews, asking how I turned pain into power. I never sugarcoated it. I told them the truth, that healing isn't pretty. It's lonely, slow, and full of nights where you question your strength. But one morning you wake up and your heart doesn't hurt anymore. That's when you know you've won. One evening, I was invited to a university to talk about resilience. As I finished speaking, a girl in the audience stood up, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Ma'am, I was in an abusive marriage too. Hearing your story gave me courage to leave. Thank you." I stepped down from the stage and hugged her. That was the moment I realized my pain had a purpose beyond myself. My story was now a light for others. After the event, as I walked out, a soft breeze touched my face. I looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, God, for breaking me just enough to rebuild me stronger." The next morning, I visited my father's old house. The door was dusty, the walls aged, but his presence lingered. I stood in the same room where I once cried in his arms. "You were right, Abba," I said softly. "I came back broken, but you taught me to rebuild. You told me to fight with grace on. I did." A tear rolled down my cheek, but it wasn't sadness. It was gratitude. When I stepped outside, the world felt new. I realized that closure doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without pain. Forgiveness doesn't mean weakness, it means freedom. And strength doesn't mean never falling. It means rising every time you do. As I walked toward my car, I saw a little girl holding her mother's hand, laughing without worry. I smiled because I knew that somewhere inside me that little girl had come back to life too. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was living. That night, before sleeping, I whispered a prayer for every woman who's crying tonight. Wondering why life broke her, please show her that this isn't her ending. It's her beginning. I closed my eyes and drifted into peaceful sleep. For the first time in years, there were no nightmares, no shadows, only light. And in that light, I finally understood revenge fades, pain heals, but peace lasts forever.